In today's episode of The Founder Ride, we're chatting with founder of Crimson Design Group, Cheryl Stauffer.
Welcome to another edition of the Founder Ride. We're happy you're here. Hopefully, you're subscribing to it. We're getting more and more listeners across the globe every day, and we appreciate you being here. And today, I'm with one of my favorite people, Cheryl Stauffer, and I compliment how great her hair looks today.
Thank you.
I think it does. And she is an entrepreneur, super exciting entrepreneur, always pushing, always thinking, sometimes maybe even too much.
True. You know very well. That's the case.
But she is what America is built on, is entrepreneurism and capitalism and making this world a better place.
That's right.
As always, we're going to start off with asking Cheryl, and I'll give my opinion too, where we are in the Founder Ride. So where are you today? Where are you now?
I am going up towards really feeling it, actually liking my business again. And you have lived on this crazy journey, especially this last year of I was done, but I have this renewed energy where I am really passionate about what's next, and I'm loving it.
And I know the answer, but I want the audience to know where did this renewed energy come from? What changed?
I had to be honest with myself and really make hard decisions about the people who were inside my company and how that was affecting my own, where I was going, but also being honest with myself on what is it that I really want.
Yeah, let's talk about that. What is it you really want? What is it you really want?
I want to influence people. I want to create jobs. I want to continue to create beauty. And there's things that I want for my family. Going into the second half of life, I had to really do the soul searching of what is next for me.
Geez, I thought you had the second 2/3 left of your life, not second half.
Yes,
so.
I guess you're right.
And my recollection in our conversations was that you realized you need to have a team around you who really wants to grow, who wants to push.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had to boil it down to something really simple that you felt your team was holding you back, and now you really just you've had an epiphany that I'm not having fun if I'm not growing, I'm not pushing, and I'm going to surround myself with a team that wants the same thing.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I just talked to my team last week. I said, we are about growth. And I talked to my young girls about this. It's always moving towards growth. If that's from the business perspective, personal, and I need bigger thinkers.
Yeah.
Like I need people who think outside of the box, who don't say no to my ideas. They might caution me or slow me down.
Challenge.
But
right.
they don't.
Yeah.
They're like, no, let's go.
Right. I mean, they might challenge you and suggest better ways to do it. But at the end of the day, once the decision is made, they are on your bus and they're pedaling as fast as you are.
That's right. And they're going to make it happen.
Right. So we're kind of an interesting phase right now of our businesses from the standpoint that I'm in the feeling it, see the light stage, but interestingly, for different reasons. And so I got as you know, we do culture index. And every 6 months we do a check-in and where you are, where are you in your natural state versus your current work state. And my personal one really changed a lot. It was, and my whole leadership team changed a lot. And what's changed so much, I was with one of my friends out in Houston visiting, who's a big culture index person too. And I showed it to him, he's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know, I'm feeling pretty good, but something's clearly wrong with me. So we called Jackie, our culture index person, and she's like, oh gosh, Randy, you're turning into a therapist. She's like, you can't be a therapist. That's like,
oh dear Lord.
She's like, you're slowing down to be a therapist. And I'm like, why? And she's, looked at the whole company's culture index. She said, your leadership team is taking you as far as you can go. That you need to have, And there was a relief there in some respects. And talking to my leadership team, they agreed. I mean, there's still spots for everybody for sure. There's no ifs, ands, or buts for spots, but we're just now missing a layer of people. And so I was relieved to hear there's still spots for everybody for sure. That felt good. Yeah. And there really are legit, not half-ass kind of square peg round hole. There's legit spots. And actually, like one of our people, Jocelyn, this is a great example. Right people, right seat. She's been with me 25 years now, okay? And she's done virtually every single role in the company that we've ever had. And her culture index shifted a lot too. Well, Jackie's like, well, Jocelyn is in the wrong seat. She's the right person.
Right.
And so basically, she's going to become our chief technology officer. We're going to call it something different because it sounds like we, are developing software.
Right.
But she's being in charge of all of our tech, our integration. And there's a huge seat for her on the leadership team for that role, but not the one she's in. And
Interesting.
yeah, it really was. And so we had our retreat Wednesday, Thursday, Friday last week and talked about it. And there was some grumpiness and maybe even some tears possibly. But at the end of the day, and end of the time, everybody like, this all makes sense. So we were developing a strategy. My point is that I feel so much better, like that we're all on the same page here. And we just have to get the right people. And then the next question is when. So.
One question I have for you on that subject is like, as you're changing positions for your people and you're adding new people, how do you as a visionary continue to inspire and lead your leadership team to think bigger and to go to where you want to go?
So that's what's really cool. And I understand your question. Everybody in the leadership team wants to go bigger places. I think there's some real recognition like, hey, I want to be part of a team that does. I'm not the person to lead it. So we need somebody else who's a better leader coming in here. So they're doing their best to push the vision,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not as capable as somebody else. And so it's the way Jackie said it. It's me and everybody else pushing this vision. You need other people who are pushing the vision too. So does that answer your question?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. It wasn't that they don't want it. They want it.
For sure.
They have, we can't put them in a seat that they can't deliver on.
Right. I mean, it's like not sitting in your natural ability.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you move into doing things that are your natural ability, it becomes much easier.
Right. But yeah. I mean, we spent a lot of time when we were together. Again, this is our current leadership team, talking about all the changes we've been through the last couple of years. But it really is a result of culture index. And again, there's a predictive index is another tool that works as well too. I'm not advocating one or the other, but being armed with information where people sit and then having those critical conversations with them to help them get in the right seat. And it's a new set of skills we're all learning, a new perspective we're all learning. And since we all want to be in this bus and we all want this bus to go some special places, it's good.
Right.
It's
Right.
And the other thing for us that we've realized that we don't have to fix this today. This is something that we certainly have to fix our current team and get their seats right, but to add that next generation leader doesn't have to happen today. And particularly for us, our rocks for the next 12 months are so systems based and integration based. I mean, we're making big investments into artificial intelligence, big investments into integration. So we definitely have learned that we're able to contain costs on headcount by using systems effectively. We've learned that. And so we have enough leeway or runway in here, I should say, that we're looking for a person now, but we're not in a rush to find them because it may take us 6 months to a year to find that person. And that's okay. And I kind of actually feel good about that, frankly, because we're not forced to rush into anything. Now that we're all aware, where everybody sits in our tweaks. So it's been good.
What are you looking for in this person?
So I probably shouldn't say this, but this will be past. This will already have happened. But it's such a big deal that Jackie is coming in the 21st to have dinner with me to talk about. She's giving me a name agnostic accountability chart of what we need and all the skills in there. So I'm super excited to see that.
That's great.
Yeah. And so we've also hired another person named Lance who specializes in this, who really, part of our challenge we have right now is the gap between me and everybody else.
Yes.
So we have this person, his name's Lance in Oklahoma. Sorry, Lance, if you're listening. I think it's Oklahoma. He's very available. I talk to him all the time. Who does now communicate. I talk to him probably 2 or 3 times a week, and he talks to the team on difficult topics, and it's like magic. Like they understand all of a sudden where we're trying to get to, and he tempers me a little bit. We still do all of our L10 meetings. Everything's the same, but he's giving us all more context to be more effective together. Just even as an example, our internal job descriptions, what he's done for us, like really spending time per person about what they do, what they shouldn't do, and putting in a job description. It's been a game changer for us,
Sure.
And we just don't have that person on our team to do that.
Right.
To read it the right way,
Is he on your team or is he as a consultant?
He's a consultant. Yep.
Okay.
We engaged him February 1st, and He's remarkably effective, remarkably efficient. He came from Jackie. He's even helped us with our recruiting. That he had turned us on another firm that he's got a view in recruiting that you can't recruit small, yet you have to have a huge net. And a lot of these systems today, and I don't understand them because I don't have to, don't really have that net big enough. And there's a firm that specializes somewhere, maybe in Utah, that in really big systems, that's very efficient, very inexpensive for what you're getting. And we started using it, and he's right. So like I'm just kind of pressing the I believe button right down this chain because it's been a game changer. And Lance will tell you like, hey, look, you'll get to a point, 8 months, 9 months, maybe 6, certainly a year, you won't need me anymore. You might need me again in 2 or 3 years,
Right.
but you know it's a project. And so same with this recruiting firm. So it's Jackie's our key person, and she's very engaged. And so next Tuesday I'm going to know a lot more about what we need.
Okay, exciting.
I am excited. Well, yeah. She's telling me on Tuesday. She's breaking the news. So my wife's going to the Mount Joy concert that night, so I have a full night to listen and absorb and ask questions. So, but let's talk about you. Let's talk about how you got started in the business. I don't want to forget to talk about Gabriella and Mia and how they fit in the equation because Gabriella is 10 now.
Right,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. So we're entering that. You said second half of your life. I mean, that 10-year-old is the bigger deal of what's going on in your life.
For
So,
sure.
so let's. How'd you get started?
Well, I grew up as the oldest of 4, and I remember starting my own projects at 12. And my father was sick after we moved back to the United States, and I was determined that I was going to make my own money and become independent. And so I saw this newspaper ad, and when I was 14, and I told my mom, please take me to this job. And she's like, they're not going to hire you. You're too young. I went and I landed the job that day, and I said, see, it's meant to be. And so that was just the journey
What was
of,
the job?
I was making salads at a restaurant.
Awesome.
Yes.
Right.
So really in the restaurant business.
Okay.
But at 12, I knew I was going to own my own business.
I see.
I didn't know what it was going to be. And so fast forward, in 2003, I started Crimson, and really it has just organically grown for the last 20 years, and now we're taking it to the next level.
So when you started Crimson, where did you come from to start Crimson? Talk to me about that transition.
Yes, I worked in New York City for a while, managing a boutique retail store, and then came back to Columbus and landed a job with an interior design firm here. And at that firm, I really
Was that
learned,
intentional to go from retail to interior design? Was that deliberate choice on your part?
No.
Okay.
It was just
serendipitous.
I wanted to go to a bigger city. I wanted to have more experience. That's the job I landed.
Got it.
And then family brought me back here. And I didn't think I would be in Columbus more than a couple years.
Right.
But I was with that firm,
Yeah.
and I learned a lot about construction, mostly all residential at that point in my career.
Got it. And then what was the trigger for you? I mean, I know you always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but what was the trigger, say, I'm doing this now, or I'm now going to become I'm leaving this job and starting my company?
I wasn't making enough money.
Okay.
I didn't have the independence. Freedom is the number one thing, most important thing to me. And I wasn't having that. And I just wasn't having the joy. I wasn't able to control where I was going in life. And I just knew it had been 4 years and it was time.
Married, not married at this point in time?
Not married.
Okay. So you're going completely on your own, no money to speak of?
No money.
Yeah.
I had 2 jobs. I still went back to the restaurant business to serve, to continue to support me. Had my office out of my house.
All right. Did you work in fancy restaurants or fun restaurants?
Neither.
Oh.
Yes.
No, I'm not going to ask you which one. At least not on camera.
Der Dutchman. The dirty dirt.
Yeah, okay. All right, fine. Der Dutchman. That's in the neither category.
Right.
I'll give you that.
I know, yes. But I met my husband there.
Because he worked there too?
Yes,
okay.
That's right. He managed all the wait staff.
All right. That makes a ton of sense, and that's really funny. So your time to leave the firm you work for, start Crimson, did you make a decision like overnight, or did you plan for it and get prepped for it? And how'd you make that transition?
I mean, I think mentally I had made that decision probably about a year before, but it took me a while to have the guts to say, okay, I can do this, to take the risk, to figure out how am I going to support myself financially without knowing I might not have any clients. And so I went to the West Coast. I drove from California all the way to Seattle, processing, planning, giving myself the courage to take the leap.
Awesome.
And with a good girlfriend, I decided on the name. I came up with a business plan and launched it.
What was the biggest thing you learned on that trip?
To just jump off the
Got
bridge
got
and
it.
go for it.
Good, awesome. And then what did Crimson start doing initially? But what was the primary focus of, what was your value proposition as a startup?
We were primarily doing only residential.
Okay.
So I was working in clients' houses, remodels, new construction, just furniture.
Got it. And do you remember your first few clients?
I do. And actually, I'm getting ready to redesign the kitchen for my very first client
I was going to
20
ask
years
that.
ago.
That's awesome. That's a
Yes.
testament to you and to that person as well. Awesome.
Yes, it's fun to see.
Is it the same kitchen you designed 20 years
Yes,
ago?
it
Wow,
is.
that's
I'm redesigning it. I had 2 clients, and we've redesigned both of their spaces. So
big changes?
yes, big changes.
Things that you wish you would have done the first time?
Well, this one is not designed yet, so yes, I'll let you know. But for sure, a lot of changes. But I think we all evolve, right, as people, and our clients have evolved too from a style perspective.
Got it. So I know that you've grown this firm to be, relatively speaking, a large design firm across the country, and you have some pretty incredible projects you've worked on, pretty incredible clients. So why are you guys different? What makes you so special? Because you are special.
Oh, thanks. We're not an architectural firm that has design, and we're not just a residential firm because we do, I call it resmercial. So it's a great combination of on the commercial side, it has a very much a residential feel, so very hospitality, and we're great with details. So we work from start to finish, and we also do all of the procurement and furniture. And I think that's one, because we are a residential commercial firm, we stand apart from everybody else in town from the size. Residential firms have small, they might do a commercial project. And then architectural firms will do large commercial, and we straddle that middle.
Got it. Have to ask this question just because it's Q2 2025. How will tariffs affect your business, or will they?
We're starting to see it. We're getting, the emails. But you know what? We dealt with tariffs in COVID.
Okay.
We had to really shift through COVID. We couldn't do quartz countertops from China. So we had to completely pivot and find other resources. So, this isn't anything new for us.
Got it.
And we'll adapt and change.
Got it. Well, cool. Glad to hear that.
And we also went, through COVID, we also went more domestic vendors.
Yeah.
Which has helped us.
So that's, a lot of people, because of COVID and supply chain problems, did do the more and more domestic. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, but I know some of your stuff was sourced that way. How have your clients changed over time?
They have. I mean, we have we're doing more commercial work and going into senior living.
Across the country, right?
Yep, which is new. We worked on a new concept in Scottsdale, which is a liquor store restaurant. So worked on a third one. They're doing amazing. So doing a more like retail restaurant is completely new for us. We're working on a fun airport hangar in Scottsdale.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Cool.
for a private family who just wants a hangar for their plane.
That's cool.
So, we're evolving on the work that we're doing.
Talk to me about liquor store restaurant. What does that look like? What does that?
So you can go buy your liquor,
Uh-huh.
and you can go and have a drink at the same time.
Okay.
At the bar.
And have food.
And it's rated the best pizza in Arizona and Phoenix.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And do you see that type of concept becoming ubiquitous across the country?
I think it's going to continue to grow. We had a private equity firm reach out recently who wants to do this concept in Florida.
Okay.
All over Florida.
Yeah.
Obviously we're limited here in Ohio.
Right.
But I think where the laws are different in other states.
That's interesting. I would definitely be a frequent user of
Right.
that product.
100%.
For sure. Particularly if you don't know exactly what you want to order.
Yes.
On the drink side, you can try it and then take it with you.
Yeah. You can have a cigar. You can
Wow.
you can golf simulators.
Okay.
So you can have the whole experience.
All right. How many square
Go
feet
visit.
is this?
It's Trevor's.
Trevor's? Okay.
Yes. 15,000.
All right. I'm excited to see these concepts.
Got to check it out.
I will. So we're going to stay on Crimson here for a few more minutes. So how has your role changed in the last, say, 2 years with Crimson?
I officially just hired an integrator. He accepted the offer yesterday.
And who was your
Wednesday.
integrator?
I had a fractional integrator
Okay.
who worked 1 to 2 days a week for the last 18 months. And I really realized after some big changes internally that this is the position I need to actually like give me my own satisfaction
Mhm.
and to sit in my unique ability. So I am just starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel and really sit in my visionary seat truly for the first time ever in my
That's awesome.
company.
So what are the? This is super fascinating to me. What are the first things he did? He right?
Yes.
First things that he did to your company to come in and change that you saw the light in the tunnel.
I mean, really just took the noise away from just the everyday operations.
So your
making
team immediately
things.
started going to him, and he was able to jump in with a pretty high effectiveness.
Yes, my
And,
leadership team.
and
Yes.
yep, and really shield you from the crap.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
And how has your relationship evolved with him in terms of a functional perspective?
I mean, we really are rowing in the same direction, right? And I'll come to him. I'm like, look, this is a problem. Help me figure out how we're going to solve it. And he puts together a plan to help us solve it, so that I don't have to jump back in. And that's what I'm looking forward to. You know, even 1 to 2 days a week was still not
Yeah,
enough,
no, right.
So this full-time person is going to be a game changer for us.
Is he identifying problems that you didn't see as well?
For sure. And, you know, strategy is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the past, some of our leaders were focused on talking about people.
Yep.
And became so small.
Yep.
Rather than talking bigger and
Yep.
talking about strategy.
Yep.
So that's, I think, one of the biggest changes that we've had with new leadership.
And that is precisely where we are too. A lot of our current team spends a lot of time because they care about the people,
For
right?
sure.
They care about the people who they're sitting next to, care about the clients, they care about the people, and they lose sight of the strategy.
Yes.
And that's exactly, we're in the same boat. You're just a little ahead of me. So that's great.
Well, we'll see.
And how long has he been on board?
He hasn't started.
Oh.
My new person, he officially accepted the offer yesterday.
Oh, okay.
So he starts next Monday.
Okay.
So I'm putting my plan together for the
Okay.
full time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
had the fractional.
Right. So the fractionals we were talking about was able to do some things, but this was more of a
Yes.
capacity issue for you.
For sure.
Got it.
100%.
Got
And not doing all the things that we need to do.
Got it.
You know, we have an aggressive 3-year growth goal.
Yep.
And I need someone that can help us get to that next level. We've kind of been stuck,
Yep.
as you know.
Yep.
And how can we get out of where we are?
You sitting in the visionary seat, will you re-engage some of that into biz dev as well?
For sure.
Yeah, because you enjoy it.
Yeah, spending more time with, you know, the people that I really care about and
Got it.
like
Got it.
key clients.
Well, we're going to have to have you back in 6 months then, because we need to
Okay,
hear how
I'm
this
excited.
is rolled out. So, so we're going to pivot business-wise and talk about something I'm super passionate for you. I'm really always excited here. But explain what Salon is and how's it going.
Well, you know, there's so many places for men to go, right?
Yep, there are.
Golf clubs, cigar lounges, I mean, anything, you name it.
I agree.
There's not a lot of places for women
Only.
to go to.
Oh,
women only,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And, you
That
know.
feels natural, feels like
Right.
home, and feels
Right.
like we're welcome here.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
So if you look back at the French historic salons,
Mhm.
right? It was artists, it was politicians, it was creatives talking about things that really matter and that made a difference. And I'm just having a modern day spin on that. And so it's for women for 40 to 120. We had an event last
So I'll
week.
make sure we get this 40
to 120
people.
No,
Age.
age 40
That's
to
fine.
120.
Okay.
Very
Okay,
good.
so I have to ask, where's the 120? I mean, I love it.
Well, I mean, women are living longer and
Yeah,
longer.
right.
If
Okay.
some woman is 119, I'm not going to say, no, you can't come.
But when you're
right?
120, you're out. You can't. So 121, you're not going to. Can't.
You're always challenging me, Randy. Damn it.
I mean, 40. I love the idea of that, but I want to be there for that 120. Hey, I'm sorry, you got to leave. So.
Yeah, no, I'm not kicking her out. You know, I really want, I want women, I want badass women who, we minimize ourselves. We don't want to celebrate who we are. And how can we now more than ever create a community where we can talk about things that really matter, hard things, the fun things, and really build friendships, you know, as, you know, I just turned 50 and I'm looking for new people in my community.
Sure. Yeah.
And so we have cocktails and learning. Last week we kind of had a scandalous conversation, which was amazing. And I had 35 women show up. And then we're going to be doing some smaller dinners that are more intimate, where we can really, you know, get to know each other a little closer.
So I'm not going to ask what you talked about, but what made it scandalous?
It was, am I allowed to talk about it here?
Yeah, you can say anything you
It
want.
was called the clitoral truth.
Oh, there we go. That's
Yes.
not scandalous at all.
And really like the belief about what social media allows us to talk about as
Yeah,
women
yeah.
and what gets censored from a woman's health and it doesn't from a men's health.
Yeah.
And really where we're going and how medicine is making an impact.
So fascinating you say that because I'm not strong enough on my own to lose weight in a traditional fashion. So when I was able to go on I call it the fat shot, which the first version of that was semaglutide for me. And I know for you doctors, I'm saying it wrong, but that's what I say.
Know.
Yeah, you know. And then I got moved over to trapezide, which is has 2 beta blockers and a little bit more potent, et cetera, et cetera. Well, now that there's no longer a shortage of those medicines, compounding pharmacies are no longer able to make them. So you have to have a prescription, and it's been which I don't have any other things wrong with me. I just fat, right? I don't have diabetes. I don't have
Right.
those other problems. So it's become really difficult and jumping through hoops as we speak to get the prescription. It's going to happen. But I keep noticing on social media these pills from Hims and these shots from Hims and hers too, I think it is. And it really hit me like as the timing of this situation has changed. I think some of it was legislated, to be clear, that all of a sudden I'm seeing more and more of these pharma companies pop up. I'm like, I don't know what's real or not real. Like, I don't even know where to go as my doctor. I'm sure he is the right person to ask, but I think we're living in this very complicated time, particularly with medicine, access to medicine, how quickly it's changing, and to have a community of people to talk to about it.
Right.
Your health is a big deal. I know I had a false positive for prostate cancer last year. And at first, and I went right to people, and it's kind of easy when prostate cancer is pretty popular, and not in a good way, but a lot of people have it. I was able to plug into that community pretty quickly, and it turns out just have a genetically enlarged prostate that spins off more protein, just kind of like my head's genetically enlarged, and so
Oh my God.
just some bad luck.
Well, thank God it was just that.
It's just that,
Yes.
But anyway, it was amazing to me how quickly I popped into that community. So to hear you talk about with Salon, having that, it makes all the sense in the world. And I think that the social media and general media gets more and more confusing what you can and can't do.
For sure.
I mean, I'm feeling frustrated right now with, where's this stuff going? And I'm like, do I really want to take the time? Of course I do at 57 years old, that I have to,
Right.
So.
Right. And I mean, I think Salon has given us this platform to talk about, we had a panel talking about medicine. We had a panel of 4 doctors to talk about integrative options from, internal medicine to your primary medicine to a chiropractor to acupuncture. And I had so many women show up and they've asked to have it again because they think that knowledge is power.
Sure, right.
Right? And
Right.
we have to advocate for ourselves if
Yep.
nobody else
Yep.
will.
Yep.
And so having these platforms.
This is probably a slightly unpopular position, but I'm assuming a lot of your people in Salon are going to fall in the affluent category. And affluent, and what we've experienced in America, means that number one, you have access to information, you have access to people, and you have financial resources to solve those problems. Now, there's degrees of that, right?
For sure.
But where so many Americans don't even have any access to information or access to people, like that, which is sad, of course. But I think that we're living in a time where being affluent and taking more control of your medical care and more control of where you're trying to go, you're unbelievably young-looking, 50 years old. I mean,
Oh, well, thanks.
but you are, and you're going to look unbelievably young, 60 and 70.
I hope so, because as I'm raising young daughters,
Yes.
they're always like, Mom, you're going to be really old when we have kids.
Yeah, my mom had a kid at 42, and I'll tell you, she had her 4th child at 42 years old. She's 84, and I swear,
Wow.
Amy's met her. You would think that she's 70, maybe 65.
That's great.
I think it's
I've got hope.
Oh, you do. Yeah, so I want to be at the party when you're getting kicked out of Salon at 120. See
That's
how
right.
how
That's
that's
right.
going to go. But all right, so the concept is to engage badass women who are moving the needle, who are kicking ass, and create peer groups and lots of information. How about the fun factor? How are you going to address the fun factor part of it?
Well, one event is just to talk about how to have, one of my superpowers is to have I could throw a party immediately. Like, I don't need any notice. It's just like part of that hospitality.
Love it.
So, around the holidays, it's going to be how to take the stress out of entertaining. And so those things are fun.
Yeah.
We've had the dinners, we've had happy hours. We're looking towards all kinds of social activities that we can do together. And really, it's just laughing and having a good time. Women can have a good time at anything, really.
Sure. No.
I mean, so men can too.
Yeah, right.
But, I think when you can walk into a room and feel like you belong there,
yep.
It makes all the difference.
I completely agree. I think that's you said it the best. I think you have to physically walk into a place that gives you positive, powerful energy with people you're going to like. By and large, there's
Right.
always that one or two that they have a little cat fight going on, but and then be yourself and embrace
That's
it,
right.
fully. So have to ask, how does somebody become a member of Salon? How does that happen?
Good question. You can go to our website, Women of Salon, or Instagram, Women of Salon as well, and sign up for our newsletter, and you'll start getting our releases. We have our events posted on the website, and you'll be able to buy tickets at each event that we host.
Awesome. And we've talked about this for, I feel like, a couple of years now.
Yes.
And so where's your long-term vision with that today? Because I get super excited every time I hear you talk about this. Where do you see it going?
My vision is to really have a space where women a physical space.
Yep.
That is what we are good at, is
Yep.
creating physical spaces and creating our brands for other people. This is really a brand for Women of Salon. And
Awesome.
so a place that you could go and have happy hour, you could just meet another woman for coffee, you could work, you could have a board meeting. It's a physical space, really done beautifully.
Of course, it'll be done beautifully if you're doing it. Do you view this as a urban space, or a bit more rural? Do you not have a view on that?
I think initially more urban.
Got it.
And then maybe eventually more rural, depending on where this goes.
Got it. And I don't know that I asked this question. How many women are participating now in Salon on average?
We have, on average, every event is around 35 to 55 people.
Awesome.
So, and we're getting ready to, within our building, have a space that'll be just for salon women. So you can, on a much smaller scale, have a conference room, you can have a podcast, you could throw a meeting.
That's awesome.
So I'm hoping in the next couple of months to have that done.
Good. Well, I know that this has been it's more than a passion project. It started off as a passion project, but now is really a great business. It has a huge need, and I'm your biggest supporter.
I know. Thank you, Randy. You are my biggest supporter.
I've always loved this, and any way we can help, I'd love to.
And you've said no to many of my ideas.
I have said
He's
no.
like, that's a terrible idea, Cheryl. You cannot do that. And you've
yeah.
supported me on this, and I appreciate that.
And particularly now the challenge on your other ideas that I know what salon can be. So
Right.
like that makes it harder to say yes to other things. And now that you found your seat with Crimson, and I'm so excited to hear that journey as well with your new integrator. And I really am, and I really hope we can talk about that specifically at some point. Like what were the bumps along that transition, what changed, et cetera, because having somebody there full time is different than part-time.
100%. Right.
Not just in time, but just in overall, buy-in.
Yes.
Oftentimes.
And it always goes to the saying, like, who got you here is not going to get you there.
That's right.
And I had someone who got us really far to a certain point. And then I realized, okay, we are done. I need someone now with different skill sets. So,
as a generalization, every business goes through that exact, dynamic. One of the challenges I've really identified with first generation entrepreneurs is that they care about people so much that when they realize they've outgrown that person, it's just hard. It's hard as a human being. When the reality is that oftentimes, if you've outgrown that person as a business, they've probably tapped out in your business too.
Right.
And so they're better off somewhere else.
100%.
They're better off getting served, contributing in their special, great way somewhere else and create a win-win over there. And as entrepreneurs, we just have to get better at that, understanding. It's just, it's not how you were raised,
No.
and it's not how I was raised. And now at the stage I can embrace that and really talk through it. It's a lot easier. Like, where was that 20 years ago?
I
though,
know.
You know.
And I think that we sometimes, for myself, like take on this like savior mindset. Like
Yep.
I gotta save this person.
Yep.
Like I know that I always have had. It's a strength and a weakness, but I see people's strengths beyond what they actually
Yeah.
like
Right.
live out.
Yes.
And so I think, oh, they're just gonna get better. They're gonna get better. When really, I just need to let them go and let them shine somewhere else.
Yeah. Agreed. So let's talk about your beautiful girls.
Yes.
What's it like being a mom of 10 and 8-year-olds? Is that
Yeah.
right? 10
Mia
and
just turned 8 on Saturday.
Okay. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What does a 8-year-old party in 2025 look like?
Well, it was dinner at the Columbus Club.
Okay.
She wanted to go somewhere that she felt special,
Yep.
and
Okay.
she just wanted her family.
Awesome. Very
So,
awesome.
But of course, it was a couple of her girlfriends for cupcakes
That's
as
awesome.
a surprise.
So funny. I have pictures year after year because my birthday is March 30th. Georgie's is April 8th, and Nico's is April 15th. And so every year I get pictures from the Columbus Club in my reel because that's where we all want to go there.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yes, she got flowers delivered to the table. She really did feel special.
Awesome. What'd you order?
Butter noodles, of course.
Of course. All right. So
The same thing.
She's still
Yes,
8. That's right.
yes.
Right. So how is it? How's it, being a mom of 8 and 10-year-old girls at this point in time, running a business? Walk me through how those things integrate together.
Yes, integrate is the right word, right? It is a lot of fun, but it's also really hard. Like this morning, school drop off was a challenge, and
What part was the challenge?
My 8-year-old is very spirited, and has. Her and I are like this because we're so much alike,
Got
right?
it.
She's so type A, she's so bossy. I have to tell her, you get to be the boss of thousands of people someday, but today I am your boss.
Right.
And so just dealing with learning how to grow and not be as reactive has been probably one of the biggest challenges for me personally as a mom, and that also goes into my business. And so she's given me lots of opportunity to grow in that way.
Yeah.
And then, Gabby is very creative, and so I have someone who is
Gabby's a 10-year-old.
She's she wants peace in the house, and she lives with 3 commanders, and learning how Louie and I are both very much commanding challengers, and then she's just trying to adapt and hold the peace, and so that's been an interesting development.
Yeah,
Lots of therapy.
Yeah. No, well, that's good. I mean, it's my youngest George, who is spirited and gifted in so many ways. He and his 100% Greek mother are the same people, and they both recognize it now. I mean, and unfortunately, it doesn't go away. I mean, when
I'm not expecting it to.
When George moves, like, it's so nice that he's a freshman in college now, and so nice when he's not home, because when he comes home for a visit, it's awesome because they love each other so much. But I'm just kind of dreading April 24th when he comes home for the summer, because it's going to be a lot of this.
Yes.
And they're going to, well, we're the same person. Well, I can't
Right.
help you because
Right.
you guys are
Right.
crazy. But no, it's one of those super strong relationships where recognizing they're the same people. But it's hard, And my middle child, Nico, we have 3 kids. Zoe's the oldest, and Nico's middle, and George is the youngest. He's our peacekeeper, and to the point where literally, I'm not exaggerating, not joking. Every night when he was a kid, and even when he's home, he will seek out both Emily and I separately to say, "Can I get you anything before he
Yes.
goes to bed?" And I'm like, "Who the fuck raised you? Like, where did that come from? Like, are you videoing this? Are you joking?"
Right, right, yes.
But as time's gone on, I mean, he actually sincere, like, "No, what can I do for you?" I'm like, God, Nico.
That's sweet. That's
is sweet.
amazing.
So,
And like I try to bring in work to my girls.
Mhm.
So I was sharing with Gabby, the oldest. I'm like, I'm going to do a podcast, and she's like, "You are?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to be on YouTube because everything is about YouTube. Click and subscribe
right.
to my girls." And so I got out of the car this morning, and she goes, "Good luck today, Mom. You're going to do really well." And
That's awesome.
8-year-old was having her own moment. So
Yeah.
you do have an influence.
You do.
With your children.
Yeah. And well, I mean,
Hopefully a positive one. Well, and negative.
Yeah. I mean, every influence. I mean, it's one of the things that your kids, in my experience, are just at the beginning stage of recognizing that mom and dad are different. Mom and dad are different because they have their own business, and mom's really different because she's the one driving the bus in the business, and because in our experience, and this I know you live. I'm saying this because I know you live
Yes.
this life. You guys are experienced people. I mean,
Yes.
some of the trips you've taken at their age are pretty exceptional. And so they're just at that stage in life where they're recognizing that they're living a different life. And and through that process, you just have to help them understand that and help them be able to communicate to their friends about that or not.
For sure. And I think it is a challenge that Louie and I are very aware of,
Yes.
because how they are growing up is completely opposite of how we grew
Yep.
up.
Yep.
And so it is like helping them see both sides of the world,
Yep.
from the extreme to the other extreme, right? And that, not everyone lives this way.
Yep.
But how can we serve people?
Yeah. And but I don't want to forget to say it's so important. So it's awesome you're doing that, and they see it. And I know our trips when our kids were little, we went to Greece every year for a month, and we lived on a rural island, our place on a rural island, so they saw a lot of poverty, a lot of bad stuff, and so that helped. But then they realized later on, oh, we're going to Greece every year for a month, and well, that's different, right? That's an important conversation. I think it happens organically. The other conversation I hope you and Louis really is like, when you have a bad day at work, you need to let them know you had a bad day at work. I mean, that's one of the things that I learned from Bob Walter, founder of Cardinal Health, that he said, when I come home from work, I told the kids the good and the bad, because they only saw the good so many times outside looking in.
That's good.
And they really need to understand that there are some really difficult decisions I need to make. And so over the years, I've had a couple of friends tell me this, that I've really worked hard to lean into the bad and tell the kiddie truth. So a 10-year-old can't handle the same information as a 12-year-old, as a 14. So I feel like and I see a lot of our clients' kids who embrace the same beliefs, that kids grow up pretty normalized. They grow up able to handle it.
Yes.
And function and not feel guilty. And also still be kind to other folks. But they recognize that, hey, being an entrepreneur is hard, and it's not all peaches and cream. I know I may have told you this, I don't know, but I asked my kids 2 years ago in writing 5 critical questions, and one of which was, what do you admire about me the most? And the ground rules were what do you admire about me most? What do you want me to change? And what are my blind spots, etc. But all 3 kids, and at the time they were 20, 18, and 16. And the deal was, you have 30 days to answer these questions, and I won't bring it up to you ever again the rest of your life. So you say whatever you want to say.
That's fun.
Yep. And we've never talked about it, but all 3 kids said, we see how hard it is being an entrepreneur. We see how often you struggle. I'm not sure I want to do that.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. So, and because the ground rules, I can't talk to him about it. My solution is I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it again next year to see how things have changed, or have they? Point being, in this stage of life you are, which is awesome and super fun. And I know you've heard this. Enjoy every friggin' second of it.
I remind myself of those moments when the bad days and the good days, for sure.
Yeah, because
it is a sweet spot.
It is a sweet spot, and empty nesting comes fast, and that's a whole different dynamic. So you're
there right now.
Oh yeah, it's the word that I've landed on. It's weird.
It's a good word.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, there's certainly aspects of it that are awesome, and there's some really difficult components to it as well too. And so it's you just have to you do have to lean into it, and it's gotten better. It's less weird, I'll say that, but it's not easy at all.
And then you're going to go back to the summer, right? When someone's going to be at home.
Yep.
And so you're probably, as soon as you're like, it's not quite as weird, then you have to do it all over again.
100% right. We had this weekend. My daughter she lives in New York City. She hasn't been in Columbus this year, so she came in for a long weekend. The boys we had all 5 of us had dinner Friday night together at Bozzi, which was outstanding. And then we were together last night for our birthdays. And so there's going to be, this week will be weird again, right?
Yes.
But when the boys come home here in a few weeks, it's going to be kind of back to what it was. And so it's a little volatile. Now, having said that, I'm glad that that's the pattern we have. We have neighbors who live here who kids don't come home
Oh,
in the
wow.
summer. They're
Wow.
doing, yeah, and so they're doing jobs other places, and so they're true empty nesters. I mean, I'll take
Yes.
this one, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's good.
The only thing that I've threatened is that because, and I know I did the same thing to my mom, and I told her she was overreacting, but
Of course.
you know, like, but you know, they're used to not coming home until 4 in the morning in school. 'Cause I get texts from my son George at 3:30 all the time, you know, just like funny stuff, right? And and they expect to do the same thing when they're home. Like, oh, come on, that doesn't work
Right.
for me. So
Yes.
I might get my
I
own
would.
apartment this summer, so I can
Great.
sleep.
Where?
Yeah. That's just so I can sleep. So the next question is, how is it working in a business with your spouse?
Well, as he says, when the good days are good, they're great, and when the bad days are bad, they're terrible.
Yeah.
You know, and we've had this whole founder ride journey just in its
Yeah.
on own working with your spouse.
Yeah.
And I have to constantly remind myself, as I think growing up very traditionally as a woman, I have this concept of what my husband's role should be,
Hmm.
and it's letting go of tradition and being comfortable in my own ability and power, I guess,
Hmm.
and showing that to my girls.
That's my next question.
And also, like, knowing that, hey, at the end of the day, we're on the same team.
Yep. Yep.
Uh,
How does your messaging to your girls come from you and from the we? Does it come together? Does it come? Do you guys share the same vision?
yeah, I would say. I mean, it definitely changes based on the
Sure.
season of life,
Yeah,
right? I
right.
would say we've just come off of a really hard season. And Louis and I had a chance to go to Morocco together, and it was just, getting out of your own environment. We thrive when we travel together. And so that was really good at kind of resetting, like, hey, where are we going? What do we both want? And so, my daughters oftentimes, especially my oldest, are like, Mom, why are you gone again?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why are you leaving? Why are you working late?
Right.
And so it's constantly that conversation of like, look, this is, I get to do what I absolutely love.
Yep.
And someday I want you to be able to do what you love. And how
And it's
can
okay
I
that
support
mom's
you?
gone.
Yeah, it's okay that mom's gone.
Right. Right. That's awesome.
And being present when I'm at home, right?
Yep.
Like I always have to work at that. Like I'm present at work and then I'm present at home.
Yep.
And teaching, I have a lot of young moms, and I've not worked on Fridays for 10 years. And having
You
that.
mean you're not in the office on Fridays?
Yes, thank you. I'm not in the office on Fridays.
Right.
And so really it can look different. That day can look different. It might be what I need or what my family needs, but it gives me that flexibility.
Yep.
And teaching young moms that as well. I'm seeing that, when they're at work, they get a lot done.
Yes.
Yes. And then when you're at home, you're at home. You're not an entrepreneur at home, and you're not a mom at work, right?
Right.
It's integrated.
Right. I do think this generation, and I'm not going to label it Generation X, Y, or Z, but rather I think the current work environment, there's a lot of people very focused that, hey, we're going to bust our butt at work.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are those, when I'm home, I'm out. Like if there's
Right.
if there's an extreme emergency, I'll dial into it and lean into it, but we're going to work really hard to have some type of clear boundaries there. So, which I think, generally speaking, good as long as everybody's winning along the
Right.
way. Yep.
Yes.
So
yes.
that's the key part.
Winning
So,
is the key part.
yeah. Speaking of which, and we're wrapping up here in a second, talk to me about what Crimson looks like 5 years from today. Like, when you think, when you're letting yourself dream and you're letting yourself just think freely, maybe after a glass of wine or two, what does that look like for you?
We want to make an impact in 30 countries around the world.
Wow.
And so, that is my big vision. And impact can look at a lot of different ways. We support 25 kids in Thailand every month, and I'm taking the girls this summer so that they can see, hey, life is different.
Yeah.
For these kids. But then also, like, from a design perspective, what are some international projects? Where are we going to go? How can we build? I would love to be doing some work in Mexico and working on what does that potentially look like.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we take Crimson beyond the United States?
How'd you arrive at 30 countries? That feels like an arbitrary number. How'd you get to 30?
I just picked 30.
Okay, fine. And why Mexico? It's
the joke in my house is that I'm brown on the inside. I'm married to a Latin. I'm
Yeah.
raising 2 Latin girls.
Yeah.
And I think growing up in Paraguay, South America, Spanish was my first
Yeah.
language. It's a culture that I am so comfortable in.
Got it.
Like, it's just full of life and free.
Yeah.
And I just
Hard
feel like
work.
I belong there.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And it's color, Crimson's all about color and
Yeah.
bold.
Yeah.
And, Louis had said, we're not going to Mexico. He would drag me to anywhere else in the world, but he always felt like Mexico was unsafe, but he'd be fine taking me to, the Middle East where it was not safe, right? And so we went twice last year, and it was, he loved it.
Good.
Surprise, surprise. Of
Yeah.
course he did.
Yeah. Where did you go in Mexico, out of curiosity?
Mexico City.
Okay.
And then I went to San Miguel Allende
Okay.
twice.
All right.
And I would love to live there. It's a small town. Have you ever been?
No, but I'm going in April 2026 for a wedding.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, so one of my friend in Houston I was visiting, his daughter's getting, daughter's getting married there.
That's a great place.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like Europe.
Yeah, that's what he
Because
said.
it feels very European, and you can be there in 4 hours. You don't have a big time change.
Yeah. So Mexico City.
And there's tequila.
Yeah, those days at Presley's on the High Street, and I don't get along with tequila still. But so Mexico City used to be unsafe. Is that true?
I mean, for sure, but it's an amazing
I've heard.
cosmopolitan city.
I've heard it's
I
really-
love New York. Is my favorite city in the world, but 20 million people, it's out of control. It's
Yeah.
gigantic.
Yeah.
But I never felt unsafe.
Yeah.
Obviously, I have friends who live in Mexico City, so I was with them as well. But I would go there hands down anytime.
Well, I've heard the same thing from lots of people, so that's on my list to go to. So, anyways, you're going to impact 30 countries and do design around. In some cases, you're going to help kids, help people.
Yes.
Some case design. And what about your role? What does that look like for you?
I mean, really, I would love to be finding where we're going to have an impact.
Okay.
What countries
Just
are we going
exploring.
to? Yes,
Yep.
exploring. If it's importing from some of those countries, if it's finding artisans around the world to create product that we can't get here, if it's on the charitable side, working with orphanages, and I'm very passionate about kids. So there's just such a big, gigantic need, and how can we make an impact? Micro lending for women who are starting businesses. That's something that's really big on my list. I want to.
That's awesome. It's
start
important.
doing.
We have a client who does micro lending for women in Africa.
That's
and
awesome.
Yeah, it's a cool, very needed, important concept as well too.
Yes.
Very much so. Well, Cheryl, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I can't believe
Been
our
fun.
time's flown by. You are a badass. You're
you.
a badass. Period. Badass woman.
Thank you.
And I love your journey. I love what you're doing. Your energy is always awesome. So for those of you have a chance to follow what Cheryl's doing, you should, because she's moving needles, doing some great things. So thank you for listening to the Founder Ride. As always, please subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe. And we will continue to bring some badass people on here like Cheryl, and hopefully bring her back as well too. Thank you.
Thank you.